can't get enough of Kagurabachi. It's like brain rot. It's constantly in the back of my mind, something that I'm continuously thinking about. There's a good reason for that, and it's because every single week, the author, Hokuzono, knows exactly how to get under your skin, knows how to exactly make something memorable. Even if it's just information, even if it's just characterization, the effort that goes into it, the consistency, the aura, the value, the impact, everything just blends together beautifully. And this chapter is no different because it does so much, and I mean a lot, that I don't think any of us were really expecting. We get reveals upon reveals upon reveals, and to top it off, a ton of characterization, a ton of explanation, and honestly, questions. A lot of questions that we won't have answers for. We're left kind of in the dark, kind of hoping, pleading, praying that potentially some of the characters that have just been introduced, I'm looking at you, Samura, are able to make it out alive. That is what we found out, and so much more. We start off with Yura. For someone that is the main villain of the story, seeing him talk about his nefarious plans and how garbage the Carbonabi is while on a rocking horse automatically makes this one of the best chapters in the story. Every time someone's going to talk about him, it's going to be using this picture of him on a rocking horse. What better way to build intrigue for your main villain, your monster, your killer? He gives us a lot of information, fully understands what the Carbonabi's doing, read them like a book, thinks their strategy is trash, understands that they're trying to protect Magatsumi and won't divert any power from Tokyo. So Yura has everything he needs to take down the fortresses. He's already gauged that power extremely well. What he does mention that's very interesting is Shiba. Remember the teleport dude? It turns out he is more of a problem than we originally thought. Now, if you've been locked in and you've deep Shiba before, this is kind of understandable. On one hand, you can easily bypass him. Oh, he's just a cool teleport dude that seems pretty strong. In Yura's words, he's arguably one of the most powerful, if not, he doesn't care about his sorcery. He doesn't really care about anything else other than the fact that he's able to adapt. He wants Hirohiko to use the swords, to be the next wielder. And just to show how much faith that Yura has in Hirohiko, this whole plan is ran by Hirohiko. He is the one in control. He is the one moving not only standard members, but Hishaku members. That's insane. But he wants Hiko to experience the world, to experience other people, to experience conflict. He considers him immature. He needs it to be more well-rounded, to adapt easier. On the other side, we get Chihiro and Hirohiko's perspective. Pretty much going exactly how you think. Chihiro read Hirohiko like a book. Basically figured out his sorcery, adapted to it, used a kind of similar technique that Hirohiko was using with the paper. Chihiro used with his fish, made everything pitch black, and was able to locate Hiko within the darkness. Super cool way to go about it. They do have a back and forth of their sameness, quote unquote, and their differences, basically the killing that they both partake in. Hiko thinks they're the same because they kill, Chihiro the picture. Because of this, I'm just excited that we're going to get more Shiba characterization to expand on him further and to elevate his position of power and importance. We always knew he was, but now that we have actual confirmation from an incredibly strong person, you best believe we're going to get more of it. The fact that we have all of the operation, the method of the madness, is really cool. I'm surprised Hiko was left in charge to control everything. It's so unpredictable and all over the place, so much chaos, that it works somewhat well to their favor. They're unpredictable. You wouldn't naturally think that the Hishaku would move like this, and that's because they don't, but because someone that's very immature and very new to the group is handling the whole operation. The importance is in the specifics. So the Hishaku members, there's 10 of them, 10 sorcerers. The leader is Yura, so that's confirmed. They hired 68 outside sorcerers, not Hishaku, and they have 34 Dantenseki stones in stock. So clearly a large scale operation. Now all of this is meant to be split over 4 temples, right? 4 sword bearers, 4 different temples. They calculated the power cost and that is what they needed, which is very impressive. However, it has now changed. No longer is it about taking on 4 temples, but sending all of their forces that remain to Samura's temple. Remember, there's 2 sword bearers currently, and that is all they need. If they're able to at least get 1 sword, that gives them a lot more power to work with. and a much easier time to break into the other temples and Tokyo headquarters. So this is Hiko's gamble, and what no one really sees coming is that he focuses all of the power onto Samura's temple. The reason why the Hat Shakugai is there to begin with. But the two swords are already on the move, and they're not going to the temple, they're going to Hiko and Chihiro's location. So we have a really cool setup here, the battle of killers, so to speak. This is very similar, eerily similar to Chihiro versus Sojo. A conflict of interest, a conflict of understanding, two different sides of the same coin. Of course, the characters, the process, the understanding is different, but the general approach, and I would say even architecture of the foundation of this fight is incredibly similar to Sojo versus Chihiro. Arguably one of the best fights in the story so far. You're about to see a 2.0 version of it, if you don't count Kyora's version to be similar as well. I'm excited for this potential fight because it's going to be a lot bigger than what we originally expected. Sure, Hirohiko was done easily, he didn't put up much of a fight originally, but if he is as adaptable, if he's able to evolve that rapidly, you're dealing with a massive problem, and maybe the first version of a character that we're ever going to see. I'm not just talking about Hiko wielding one sword, I'm talking about him wielding both swords. Is that possible? Is it insane to think about? Is it even worthwhile? With how they're building up Hiko, the declaration of war, apologizing for not having a proper weapon, the fact that both swords are on the move already before they're even possible to be used properly, makes me think that even just him wielding the swords without their power, without the contract, is still going to be partially problematic. Chihiro will still be able to deal with it, but do remember he is injured. To get off the attack and save the people around him, to stay true to his belief, he took a lot of injuries. And as of right now, if anyone can adapt to one enchanted blade, it's going to be Hirohiko. I truly think he's going to be a problem. He has basically planned for all of this to happen this way, and it relies on the death of Samura. So with everything that I've mentioned is the big one. This is where everything kind of goes down. If Samura falls here, if he dies to Hatshaku, then I would say that this temple is lost. But I don't see them killing the other sword bearer. In my mind currently, it's going to be a split. One sword goes back to Samura's temple, Samura gets killed, and Hiko wields the other sword. So it's not an overwhelming success for the Hatshaku and Yura, but it still counts, and it's still enough. This would put them more within a deadlock that's a bit more palatable, and are able to maneuver forward to the last remaining temples. I'm excited to see how this all comes full circle. I am very worried for Samura. I'm very worried for this temple. I don't think a lot of people are going to survive it, but there's a chance they escape with one sword at least. He's going to go down swinging though, that's for sure. And then of course, Chihiro versus Hiko is shaping up to be absolutely huge. I don't know the end results, but you know what? I'm excited to see what goes down.